My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks, and it's my birthday. I'm going to spend my birthday breaking down the entire UFC 289 fight card, giving you my picks, my predictions, and my bets. And you're going to say, well, how old could you possibly be? You look like a 26-year-old Ben Affleck. No, I'm 40. Today's the big 4-0. But let's go ahead and break this card down. But before we talk about UFC 289, let's talk about my success at UFC Vegas 74, up units. The safety parlay hit. Parlay is in quotes because the first leg dropped. It ended up being one fight with adjusted odds, but it still hit. Price picks hit. Underdog hit. Everything that I could put on the board hit. And you may say, well, Angelo, you only put out 3.7 units. Only 2 ended up on the board because one of the units was a inside the distance decision, no action. That was refunded. But it's not about the total number. It's about how well they do. The Abubakar fight could have gone the other way. Very close to hitting that. I hit Taman Blackshear's an underdog. Muin Gufarov. Honestly, that fight was a little more competitive than I thought it would be. But the Daniel Santos Carini Silva parlay hit. And then the safety parlay hit for an ROI of 45%. Anybody can throw 100 units at the board and get back 101 and say, I'm up units. But not a lot of people are doing those kind of ROI percentages every week. If you're a premium member, well, thank you so much and congratulations because the safety parlay has absolutely been dominating. This is like my 6th or 7th event in a row of net profit with solid ROI. But I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Our community, our premium members have absolutely been crushing it. This is over the course of a month. Over the course of 1 month, we have been tagged in, tweeted at, and shared from premium members only in over $180,000 in winnings. We had a $78,000 DraftKings hit, a $50,000 DraftKings hit, people making $13,000 in DraftKings, people turning $100 into $2,000, people turning $20 into $1,600. We have people reaching out saying, I paid a $10 parlay and I got paid $6,000. And this is thanks to your insight, your information. This is only premium members. These are not random people. These are people that have specifically chosen to become premium members, and we thank them, and it looks like it's paying off. And this is not an accident. You don't accidentally have this many successful people in your premium membership. That's not an accident. They have the tools, they have the information, they have the insight, they have our picks, our breakdowns. They use that and then make their own decisions and are doing incredibly well. If you want to be a premium member, it's only freaking $10 a month. Go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. You're going to get the picks, the bets. You're going to get tools like the line movement tracker. This is one of the most helpful, useful tools you could ever have. It's going to give you the opening odds for every single fighter, the current odds for every single fighter, their win probability, and then the line movement. UFC 289 has had a lot of movement. We haven't had anybody flip from an underdog to a favorite just yet, but Amanda Nunes opened at minus 600. She's only minus 300 now. That line was absolutely cut in half. Similar movement with Eric Anders and some others. A lot of tightening lines, and those are trends that you want to keep an eye on because maybe you want to hop off of a train, right? If you were all aboard Amanda Nunes, like, well, that's a little closer than I thought it was going to be. Or if you're all over Irene Aldana, well, now's the time to hit it because that line might tighten even more. Anyway, use this and all of the other tools, all the other information, the DraftKings optimizer and everything else to make some money and find some success. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. And if you need a couple of bucks, I'll send you 50 of them. Just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our betting partners using our link. Make a deposit, and I send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. They're going to pay me. They're going to say, Angelo, thank you so much for this customer. Here's a couple of bucks. I'm going to take a few of those, and I'm going to give them right back to you. WeOnPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. I will send you $50. Let's break down this card. There's only 11 fights. I imagine they're going to add a couple of more fights, but as of right now, as of Sunday morning, there are only 11 fights at UFC 289, and one of them has already been a last-minute replacement. We'll break that down. But let's jump in. Opening up UFC 289, we have Diana Belbita taking on Maria Oliveira. And Diana Belbita is a high-pressure volume striker who can work in BJJ and ground and pound. She's well-rounded, she's constantly moving forward, and she really doesn't slow down. She's effective in the clinch standing and off of her back on the ground. She has a lot of experience, but she does have some really low fight IQ moments in her fights. She's been out for a little more than a year, and she's looking to bounce back from a very close decision loss to Gloria DePaula. She's taken on Maria Oliveira. She's tall. She's a long striker. She comes forward with power kicks and punches. And instead of using those kicks to keep range, she uses them for damage. She's got decent takedown defense at 47%, but she does get taken down in almost every fight, which really gets her behind on the scorecards. She's coming off that loss to Vanessa Demopoulos, where she really struggled with the grappling, but she was very aware of the scorecards and her situation, and she just went out there and tried to get it done. You absolutely love to see that. This is going to be a really close fight because Diana's going to be the more active striker. Maria's going to be the more powerful one. Diana's going to have the grappling, and Maria will not have the takedown defense, and that's going to be the problem here. But Diana hasn't fought in over a year because of injuries, and Maria has 3 fights in that exact same time span. As long as Diana's been out, Maria has fought 3 times. And I see Diana coming forward, staying busy, but getting hit with the bigger shots. And then I see her looking to wrestle. If she gets a takedown or 2, then we know how this is going to go. We've seen that happen to Maria before. But if Diana struggles with those takedowns or starts to slow down, we know Maria's not going to slow down. We know Maria's not going to get frustrated if, let's say, she gives up a really bad first round of being taken down over and over and over. She's going to come out the second like nothing happened, come out the third like nothing happened. I think Maria Oliveira is going to get this done. I mean, she is 1-3 in the UFC, but she's had a rough road. She's had some really tough matchups, a lot of tricky opponents. Diana's coming back after a few different injuries. I like Maria Oliveira to get this done right off the rip, going with an underdog. That takes us to David Dvorak with a brand new last-minute replacement opponent. He didn't even have enough time to take his shirt off and do a proper picture. He's taking on Steve Erceg on short notice. David Dvorak is a striker. He's got nice forward pressure, solid activity. He has really nice low kicks, and he pairs those with solid boxing. He's fundamentally sound and very good overall. He's coming off a decision loss to Beneil Kopp, where he was able to get his first handful of UFC takedowns. He's taken on UFC newcomer Steve Erceg. He's a slick grappler who attacks very quickly and snatches most things up in scrambles. His striking is not great, though. He's got a really wide stance, very limited head movement. He does have a nice jab that he's just going to keep pumping out there while moving forward. And I know a lot of people like Steve striking. He thinks he's a striker. But I was not impressed at all. I break down that tape, and he gets hit a lot, and he just relies on his accuracy. He is accurate with his strikes, but he gets hit a lot, and he's just sort of a durable kid that's going to keep coming forward, keep pumping things out. His grappling, however, I was impressed with. He's fluid. He seizes opportunities. But I still have to go with David Dvorak here. He's a seasoned UFC veteran. He's got solid striking, solid takedown defense. He should be able to get through Steve's just, when I say wide stance, like his hands are here instead of here, and you could just go right up the middle. David Dvorak should be able to get through that. Some books have him at a -175. I don't see that. I use BetOnline. I don't see these odds yet. I haven't seen them on any other books really, but apparently he's out there at -175, and that does feel right. And once those odds hit BetOnline, if they're anywhere near that -175, I will probably do something there because David Dvorak should absolutely get this done. And that takes us to Kyle Nelson taking on Blake Bilder. Kyle Nelson's a solid striker with very real power in his hands. He's been in the UFC since 2018, but he only has 1 win, and he's been pretty inactive. He's got solid takedown defense, though, and he does a really good job using his opponent's shots to create scrambles, and then he ends up on top. He's coming off that draw to Do Ho Choi, where he was a grappling machine. He had 5 takedowns and more than a round of control time, but he was still going to lose a decision before the ref took a point away from Choi because of a headbutt. So you're going to see the draw. That was going to be a 29-28, most likely. Ref takes the point. Bingo, bango. That's a draw. So Kyle Nelson's coming off a loss, essentially. Taking on Blake Bilder. Blake Bilder. He's an aggressive grappler who's going to shoot as soon as he gets an opportunity, and then he's going to control from there. He explodes on the ground, but he doesn't really take unnecessary risks. He's going to explode. He's going to get to mount. He's going to explode. He's going to sweep. But he's not going to chase a submission, and there really isn't an opportunity for him to lose the position. Meaning, we see a lot of these guys. Tim Elliott, for example, will get into mount, get into side control, then chase a submission and lose it and end up on his back. That is not Blake Bilder. He will explode. He'll get into those power positions, wait, work from there, pound away, strike, and then get a submission if the opportunity is there. But he's not just a grappler. He can strike as well. He's got a loose style. He is hittable, which is not great, but he's coming off that win over Shane Young, where his striking was slow, but he was very technically sound. This should be a pretty straightforward spot for Blake, right? He's going to be the more technical striker, albeit slow, but the more technical striker. He's going to have the much better grappling. He won't have a power advantage or the experience advantage, but unless he's getting into a slugfest, he should be totally fine. I think the minus 195 odds are actually about right for Blake, and he could potentially be in the safety parlay. We'll see what happens. I think you're safe to parlay him as well. The only thing that gave me a few seconds of concern here, why I haven't pulled the trigger just yet, is that even though Kyle Nelson is 1-4-1 in the UFC, his losses are actually decent. Diego Ferreira, Billy Q, Jai Herbert, those are quality losses. And even in his last fight, yes, he was going to lose that fight, but his grappling was on point. He was coming forward, getting those takedowns, and that was sort of a new wrinkle that we've seen from him. I still think Blake gets this done, but again, the only reason I haven't pulled the trigger yet is because I think Kyle Nelson's getting a little less credit than maybe he deserves. And then we have Firas Zahabi's little brother, Aiemann Zahabi, and he's taking on Aoriqileng or Aoriqileng. And Aiemann Zahabi, as I mentioned, is Firas Zahabi's brother. Firas Zahabi is a famous coach for Georges St. Pierre and a lot of other big-time fighters that have achieved quite a bit of success. And all that really means is that Aiemann has been around top-level talent and high-level coaching for the entirety of his career. Style-wise, he's a pretty well-rounded guy. He's more of a striker than anything. He can be low volume at times, but we do know he has big power. He put Draco Rodriguez out with an overhand right in a fight where he only threw a handful of punches to begin with. He's got solid takedown defense at 75%, but he has given up a few key takedowns, which have cost him fights in the past. Aoriqileng is a well-rounded guy with incredible pressure and pace. He can fight a technical fight, or he can brawl all the way to the bell. He uses his striking to set up takedowns, and we have seen him do a little bit of everything, but he has been more of a striker in his last few fights. He is coming off that win over Jay Perrin, where he was taken down 3 times and landed fewer total strikes. I'm not a huge fan of Aiemann Zahabi. I don't know what it is, just something about that style. The way he fights just irks me, but I do think he gets the win here. He's the underdog. I think he's going to get it done. He looked absolutely incredible against Ricky Tercios, and that version of Aiemann, the one that beat Ricky Tercios, should look really good here. Aoriqileng's a fun guy. He's got solid pressure, but Aiemann should be far more technical and a step ahead. So Aimann's going to be the pick. I'm going to be monitoring that line movement tracker we talked about and see what that gets, because if Aiemann becomes a larger underdog or that starts to trend the other way, I'll probably hop on that. If you haven't used the line movement tracker, it's available to premium members, that and everything else instantly. And it's an incredibly helpful tool that will help you spot trends, find lines, and sort of guide you if you're on the fence with a fighter. WeWantPicks.com, just click Become a Member. It's $10. You instantly unlock that and everything else. Then we have a very interesting fight. You guys are not going to like my take here. I'm positive every turd is going to have some clown emoji comment or whatever. You're not going to like this take. But let's break down Miranda Maverick versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. Miranda Maverick, she's a technical striker. She's got solid forward pressure, solid takedowns. She's very strong, and she uses that strength well. She's averaging almost 3 takedowns per fight, but when she can't get takedowns, she struggles. She's coming off that win over Shanna Young, where her striking actually did not look good at all, but she pivoted to the wrestling and then really got it done there. She's taking on Jasmine Jasudavicius, Canada's own, in Canada on a Canadian pay-per-view. She is a grappler. She likes to come forward. She likes to push a pace with the striking before working in her takedowns. She does have solid clinch work where she'll control your body, throws knees, and then she'll work in takedowns from there. She is a very accomplished wrestler. It's something like Canadian, and it's Canada, but something like Canadian national champion, like a very high-level wrestler that has competed at a much higher level than 99% of the women in this division. She's got fantastic hips so that even if she has a bad wrestling entry or even if somebody's shooting on her, she can create a scramble and end up on top. She's coming off the incredibly dominant win over Gabriela Fernandez, where she had 4 takedowns and 11 minutes of control time. And these odds are crazy. Miranda Maverick is a 3-1 favorite right now. And I get that she has cardio. She's got pressure. She's got her own wrestling. But I also get that her game plan will be to out-wrestle a national wrestling champion. Jasmine looked incredible in her last fight. And if she comes in with that same wrestle-first energy, then Miranda's going to be backing up the whole time, defending the whole time, and she doesn't do that well. This could look like Erin Blanchfield just bodying and ragdolling Miranda Maverick. This feels like a long shot. I know Jasmine gets taken down. I don't want to imply that, oh, she's a national wrestling champion, so she can't be taken down, because Natalia Silva took her down twice. But I don't see her getting bullied by Miranda Maverick. Natalia Silva was able to take down Jasmine because her striking is so freaking good. She was just mixing it all really well, and Jasmine was a little caught up in the moment. I think Miranda Maverick's going to struggle with Jasmine. I think Jasmine's going to get this done. I threw a quarter of a unit on her at plus 250. Maybe I'm an idiot, and it is what it is, but for this line to be where it's at is absolutely crazy to me. I'll take the national wrestling champion at a quarter of a unit at plus 250. That line is definitely going to move because she's in Canada. People are going to look a little closer. I could be dead wrong, but I think that line will tighten. She'll probably close as a plus 150, something to that effect. Make sure if you're a premium member, you have linked the Discord, because the very second we place these bets, I placed this last week. The very second we place these bets, you get an alert to your phone instantly. You can get ahead of the movement. If you want to see the movement, check out the UFC Vegas 74 betting video I did. Look at the odds I got versus the closing odds, and that's where those alerts from the Discord come in handy. If you're not a member, become one. It's $10. And if you are a member, go to the account page and link your account. We have over 2,000 members, and I think 800 of you have linked your account. That means 12, 13, 1,400 haven't. Just link your damn account. It is free at weonpicks.com. We have a very interesting fight. We got a feature fight. And it's a great feature fight to kick off the excitement for a pay-per-view. We have Nassourdine Imavov versus Chris Curtis. This is Chris Curtis's second back-to-back feature fight spots. He was pretty pissed about the last one, but it's a good spot to be in. Anyway, we got Nassourdine Imavov. He's a busy striker. He continues to move forward no matter what's happening. He can strike and counter-strike at the same time, so he's going to come forward, throw, move, which is always fantastic to see. He has takedowns and control when he uses them. He has takedowns in 3 of his 4 UFC wins. He's got a nice jab, solid elbows. He looks very comfortable mixing things together. He's coming off that very embarrassing loss, though, to Sean Strickland, where he just looked horrible. And the takeaway from that was he's overrated. And that wasn't that. I'm sure that was everybody's takeaway. He had a short notice, sort of slobby, according to Sean Strickland's own words, slobby Sean Strickland, and he couldn't do anything. Very embarrassing loss for him. But he's taking on Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis is a very clean boxer. He's got great takedown defense. He's got solid power in his hands, and it comes from clean, short punches, which catch people off guard. He works in nice leg kicks. He will touch up the body. He takes his time with his shots, but it's always moving. He's always moving. His body is in different direction. He stays out of the way, and that's why his defensive striking is so good, because something on him, whether it's his head, his body, his hands, something is always moving, and he's not an easy guy to get to. He is primarily a counter striker, though, and he's great at it, but the problem is he's always backing up. He's always moving out of the way. He's always waiting for somebody else to throw. Half the times he's going to catch you, right? He moves, bang, nice short shot. It happened to Phil Hawes, happened to Brendan Allen, happened to Joaquin Buckley. But if he doesn't land that shot, now he's just backing up, and he's waiting for you. And a lot of people think that Kai Kara-France decision was controversial, bad decision, robbery, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to argue any of that, but what I will say is the judges don't have access to the strike counts. The judges are just watching the fight at a shitty angle, I might add. They're below the cage looking up through a fence. It's terrible. All they see is one fighter backing up. Kai Kara-France is backing up. They didn't like it. I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Chris Curtis is going to be backing up. He's a counter striker. Sometimes he's too much of a counter striker. The Kelvin Gastelum fight, he could have won that fight. There was a headbutt. It dropped him, and he unfairly was, it wasn't ruled a knockdown on the actual official stats, but the judges just see a man collapse, right? So let's say he won that Kelvin Gastelum fight. He was still backing up. He's still waiting. And I think that's going to be a problem against Nassourdine. I can see Nassourdine squeaking out a small decision. He's going to be the much larger human being here. It's not even close. 6'3" to 5'10" is outrageous. And I think Nassourdine's going to keep coming forward. Chris Curtis is going to keep backing up. Nassourdine's got a solid chin. I don't see him getting put out. You really can just outwork Nassourdine. And Chris Curtis, I don't see that happening. But I will say, I don't think I have ever picked a Chris Curtis fight correct. Ever. I pick him to win. He's got the fake headbutt with Kelvin Gastelum. I pick him to lose. He's knocking out Brendan Allen. Like, I can't catch a break with Chris Curtis. I am fading my own Chris Curtis picks at this point, so do with that what you will. You could ignore everything I just said. I picked Nassourdine, which means Chris is going to win, but I just think his counter-striking is so amazing, but it's not helpful if he doesn't land those big shots when he sends them back. We got the pay-per-view opener. This has had a lot of line movement. Eryk Anders is a much smaller favorite than he was at one point. We got Marc-Andre Barriault taking on Eryk Anders. And Eryk Anders is a straight-up athlete. He can wrestle. He can strike. He has competed in multiple sports at a very high level, and it shows, right? He mixes in his punches and his kicks together really well. He's got okay speed. He does keep his hands a little too low, which has gotten him into trouble in the past, though. His path to victory in most fights is his wrestling, where he looks to take people down, keep them there, and just beat them up. What he does really well is he just looks to hurt you. In every single scramble, every single situation, no matter where you are, he is looking to hurt you. Even if you take a shot and he defends that shot, he doesn't just defend the shot and back away. He defends the shot, stuffs your head, blasts you, and then backs away. Everything he does is to hurt you, and he just retired Kyle Dawkins. He's taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. That dude's a very well-rounded fighter. He's got solid kickboxing, solid takedown, solid jiu-jitsu. Marc-Andre's typically looking to pressure forward and wear you down on your feet. He has impressive striking volume with almost 6 significant strikes landed per minute, but he's also hit with more than 5. He's coming off that stoppage win over Julian Marquez, where he threw about 200 punches in the second to earn that win. This is what I'm going to do with this fight. I'm going to pick Marc-Andre to win, right? He's the pick as far as the list is concerned. Bang. Marc-Andre's the pick. Because he's the more well-rounded guy. He's the more technical guy. But I'm going to bet on Eryk Anders. When it drops, the props usually drop Mondays, Tuesday. When it drops, I'm going inside the distance, decision, no action on Eryk Anders. And all that really means is if Eryk Anders knocks out or submits Marc-Andre, I'll get paid. If Eryk Anders loses a decision, he's out-techniqued, out-pointed, then I get a full refund. We did the same thing with Elise Reed. She ended up winning a close decision. I got a refund on that bet because she didn't get a stoppage. But that feels appropriate here. Eryk Anders is going to be the more aggressive guy, the more dangerous guy, the more powerful guy. So I think Eryk Anders can win by finish or lose a decision. The prop hasn't dropped yet. We'll see what those odds are. And as long as they're decent odds, I will hop on that. Make sure you have linked your Discord to your premium membership. Just go to WeWantPicks.com. If you're not a member, become a member. It's only $10 a month. If you are a member, click on the account page and then link the Discord. It's free to link. The Discord's actually free to join, so join that anyway. And I mentioned Eryk Anders was the favorite in that line Titan. I misspoke. He's the underdog in that Titan. He was plus 128. He's now plus 110. So it's starting to shrink, a little money coming in on Eryk Anders. And then we have Dan Ige. Dan Ige, dude had a legendary fight losing streak and then just absolutely destroyed Damon Jackson. And now he's back, and now he's a big-time favorite. And he's taking on Nate Landwehr. Dan Ige is a fantastic kickboxer. He's got speed. He's got power. He's also got very solid BJJ and underrated wrestling. His takedown defense is going to look low, right? You say, oh, 52%, that's not great. But he has only fought killers for the last 3 years. He did recently break that long losing skid with that stoppage win over Damon Jackson, where it was just clear there are levels to this sport. He's taking on Nate Landwehr. Nate the Train. The dude is a wild man. He's going to run forward, throw crazy, look for a finish at all costs. He is a talented guy. He's got power. He does have skills, but he's almost too focused on being fun. I say this every time I break him down. And he can put himself in harm's way just chasing the fun, looking for a finish when, hey, just a takedown and some control will get you this round. But so far it's been working for him. He's never been in a boring fight, and I don't anticipate this one being boring either. He is typically looking to pressure hard, get it to the ground, work from there, and he is coming off that short notice submission win over Austin Lingo just a few months ago. Dan Ige is one of the biggest favorites on this entire card, and his resume does support that, right? His losses are only to upper echelon guys. He's proven himself time and time again. But Nate is a different animal. Nate's going to nonstop come forward. He's not going to stop shooting, not stop throwing wild. And he forces people to work twice as hard as they thought they would have to work in that fight. Skill for skill. Dan Ige is the better fighter. I don't think that's debatable. But that's not always what determines who's going to win. My pick is going to be Dan Ige, but I'm going to keep him out of parlays. This feels like, remember when everybody that wasn't We Want Picks immediately threw Jamie Malarkey into parlays when he got the new odds? He had a new last-minute opponent. They just threw him into parlays. Oh, it's a guarantee. And he got slept. I'm not saying Dan Ige is going to get slept. That's not even how Nate Landwehr fights. Let's give Dan Ige another fight before we start putting him in parlays. I do think he wins. We'll see what happens when the prop bets drop, but Nate's the type of guy that can break you down and surprise you. Let's not forget, this wouldn't be the first time that a plus 250 Nate got the win. Just go back and check out when he was Jacob's underdog lock of the week. He was one of the biggest underdogs on that card, one of the biggest underdogs on the year that actually won. And we'll see what happens here. It was against David Onama. He could spoil Dan Ige's comeback party as well. But anyway, I do think Dan Ige is going to get it done. It's scared money, not because I don't trust Dan, but because I don't know what the hell Nate's going to do. So I'm going to keep my money on this one, but you guys can do whatever the hell you want to do. Then we have the featured fight of the evening. The featured fight. You get main event, co-main event, featured fight. It's Mike Malott taking on Adam Fugitt. And I get it. If I'm Canadian, I'm pissed. Like, Mike Malott's Canadian, huge prospect. We'll talk about him in a second, but the UFC seems to take advantage of regional pay-per-views. They go to Canada. They haven't been there in a while. They know that Canadian fans are incredible fans that will show up no matter what they put out there. So they put out trash. And I'm not trying to trash these two. Just in general, this card is not very good. Look at the pay-per-views before and after. This is one of the worst pay-per-views in the year. There's only 11 fights confirmed. And if you look at the pay-per-view breakdowns, all the international pay-per-views are like this. Solid main, potentially decent co-main, and then nothing else. So anyway, we got Mike Malott taking on Adam Fugitt. Mike Malott's a pretty well-rounded guy. He's definitely a prospect. He's got a very loose striking style. It allows him to box and kickbox comfortably. He's technically sound. He manages range well. And he doesn't have any specific background, right? He didn't come from wrestling. He didn't come from boxing. He's an MMA fighter, and he's grown up that way, essentially, which is nice because you'll see him strike. You'll see him grapple. You'll see him do what he's supposed to do in a fight, not Johnny Munoz butt scoot pathetic, because that's the only thing Johnny knows how to do. No, Mike Malott knows how to do everything, and he can do it all pretty well. He has 3 fights under the UFC banner with 3 stoppage wins. Most recently, that submission win over Johan Lioness. He's taking on Adam Fugitt. Adam Fugitt's a forward pressure wrestler with a very loose boxing style. He bounces on his toes. He's got a high guard, and then he just lunges in for takedowns. He is incredibly strong, and even when he doesn't have the best takedown entries, he can pick you up and slam you down. Even though he has a high guard, it's not tight. So he's here, but he's not here. So straight punches can get right through, and he can be easily cracked. He's very tough. He is very hard to put away. He's coming off that stoppage win over Kinishota, where he had 4 takedowns in the first round, which was a nice little wrinkle to see coming from him, just that aggressive, that early, working to legs. I made fun of the pay-per-view slot, right? I made fun of they take advantage, and honestly, that's kind of a fact. Go look at the regional cards, but joking about Mike Malott being in the featured fight, the reality is this actually should be a really fun fight. Both of these guys come forward. Both of them look for finishes. Fugitt is a pretty sizable underdog, but could absolutely win here. We haven't seen Mike Malott in a fight yet where his opponent was pushing a wrestling pace. We haven't really seen that. So I don't know what Mike Malott's going to look like when he's backing up, when he's constantly defending takedowns. Maybe it throws him off. Maybe it screws up his rhythm. Maybe he doesn't care because he is so talented and he's going to push forward. So I think Mike Malott is absolutely going to get it done. I think he's pretty much better everywhere just except straight wrestling and straight takedowns. Pick is Mike Malott, and the bet is probably going to be more takedowns for Adam Fugitt. Bet Online on Fridays drops takedown lines and significant strike lines. And they drop 2 for each. You'll get a straight up line. It'll say Adam Fugitt, 2.5 takedowns. You can bet more, you can bet less. Or they'll say, who gets more takedowns in this fight? And then you pick your fighter. So depending what those look like, those have always been very, very fruitful for us. It's not often that we hit one of those lines early and miss it. So make sure you have your alerts turned on so you can get those when they drop, because they drop and then they take off instantly because people are just waiting for them because they're always really good bets. Anyway, Mike Malott's the pick, and we'll see what that takedown looks like on Friday. Then we have a really good co-main event. We got Charles Oliveira taking on Beneil Dariush. And 8 months ago, this is a title fight. This is a title fight 8 months ago. And it's still a good fight. And I'm looking forward to him. Beneil Dariush has earned this spot. He's taking on Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira is one of the most well-rounded and talented guys in the UFC. He's got incredible kickboxing skills, laser pinpoint accuracy. His kicks are deadly. He throws them to your legs. He throws them to your body. He'll throw them to your head. He's averaging over more than 2 takedowns per 15 minutes and has some of the most practical BJJ in the UFC. Practical meaning it's actually getting the job done. It's not just like hanging out in his guard, pretending he has a gi on, floating around. No. Scramble BJJ, snatch things up BJJ, create space to stand up type BJJ. And what really sets him from the rest of the division is that ability to snatch up a submission in any scramble. He literally has the most amount of submission wins in UFC history, and his ability to grab stuff in those movements, in those scrambles, is absolutely incredible. And it means that you need to be 100% aware of what's going on every minute of your fight with Charles Oliveira. But he is coming off that loss to Islam, which broke an 11-fight, 3-year unbeaten streak. He's taking on Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush is everywhere. This dude is good absolutely everywhere. He's got great power, great control. He's averaging 2 takedowns per fight. He is a no-gi BJJ world champion. If you're not familiar with that term, no-gi is you're not wearing the bathrobe, just shorts and the tight Brazilian shirt, rash guard. He's winning those championships. That's the more practical jiu-jitsu when it comes to MMA. And we've seen him beat people with his grappling. We've seen him beat people with his striking, right? He out-grappled Tony Ferguson, Diego Ferreira. He outstruck Scott Holtzman, James Vick. He's a perennial contender. He's riding an 8-fight win streak, and that most recent win was a defensive wrestling and BJJ scramble clinic against Gamrot back in October. And when this fight first dropped, I hit Dariush. I had 1.5 units on him at minus 125. I actually thought those odds would move, and maybe they still will. But you're going to get a discount on that right now. I think he's minus 120. So money's coming in on Charles. People think Charles is going to win this fight, and I get it. He was one of the most dominant lightweight champions we've seen in a very, very long time. He's finishing people. He's dangerous absolutely everywhere. But in my mind, Dariush is going to be the better wrestler. He's going to be the better grappler. I know Charles Oliveira has the most submissions in history. And could he submit Beneil Dariush? Of course. Of course. Look at the guy. Look how he works. Look what he does. But just skill for skill, I think Dariush is the better grappler. He's the more accomplished one, at least. And I think he'll be aware enough of what's going on. He's like the scrambles he had against Gamrot were incredible. Yes, those were wrestling scrambles, right? He didn't have to worry about his neck in those. But those scrambles were incredible. You take those same scrambles, you add the no-gi world champion credentials on top of it, and I don't see Charles Oliveira being able to snatch something else up unless he's wobbling Beneil first, which I think is going to be hard to do. I think Beneil gets this done. He's going to be the more powerful guy. He's not going to be the better striker. That's going to be Charles Oliveira. But I think Beneil is going to watch that Islam fight and say, okay, if you just come at Charles, you strike with him, you wrestle him, and you stay controlled on the ground, you take away all of his nonsense. It's when you create a scramble is when Charles could really make something happen. I think Beneil has what he needs to, has the tools, the skill set, and I think he gets it done, unfortunately, for Charles Oliveira. I know you guys are going to disagree. Join the Discord. Let us know in there what you think. Let me know in the comments what you think, but I have that 1.5 unit bet on Beneil. I trust it, and I think he's going to get this done. And that takes us to the main event. This is the biggest line movement on the card. Amanda Nunes, the GOAT, opened at a minus 600 favorite and was immediately pushed to a minus 300 favorite. She's only a 3-1 favorite right now, and she is the 2-division concurrent champion, the greatest fighter, female fighter of all time, potentially the greatest fighter of all time. We'll see where her career ends, where John Jones's career ends, but Amanda Nunes has done the thing, and the line still was cut in half. She is the GOAT. Right? At least widely considered the GOAT. She's a concurrent 2-division champion whose only loss in the last 9 years was to Juliana Pena, who she then beat the absolute shit out of her to take her belt back. She destroyed almost every single person they've put in front of her, and she's done it any way she wants to. She has incredible power in her hands, but she also has got wrestling and jiu-jitsu. She's averaging almost 3 takedowns per fight and has a very impressive striking differential. Irene Aldana is doing pretty well lately. She's a very technical boxer. She's got legit power. She sets a solid pace, and she is able to keep fights standing with her 81% takedown defense. Her only loss in her last 4 years is to a former professional boxer in Holly Holm who respected Aldana's striking so much she had to resort to wrestling, and she took her down 5 times. She's riding a 2-fight stoppage streak, the most recent being from bottom against Macy Chasson. Amanda Nunes is the GOAT. I can't say that enough because everybody forgot when she lost to Juliana Pena. Everybody forgot. And people were picking Juliana Pena to win the rematch, which was just absurd to me because even though she lost to Juliana Pena in the first round of that fight, she beat the shit out of Juliana Pena and then just got exhausted, got tired, was not as well prepared as she should have been. That loss woke something up. She went back, got herself primed, ready to go, and then beat the brakes off of her to take her belt back. That's actually sort of my concern here, is that she wasn't ready for Pena the first time. And her life is just very different now. She's 35. They're both 35, but Amanda's has all the money she needs, all the success she could ever want or need. She's starting to, start her own gym, sort of training herself. She's got a kid. I think at a certain point, we're going to see Amanda a little disconnected, a little like, all right, well, it is what it is. I've done everything I could possibly do, right? She doesn't need the money. She doesn't need the accolades, but she is a killer. She is the best to do it. And I do think she wins this fight, but I'm a little nervous about how much she actually wants it because Irene Aldana wants it. She comes out there. She never quits. She never stops. She's always very well prepared. Her hands are good. She's very dangerous, and she's on a great team. These Mexican women have been snatching belts, taking wins, and really making stuff happen. They've really put it together, and Irene Aldana could be the second female the Mexican champion this year with a massive upset. So I think Amanda Nunes is going to get it done. How could you not bet against the GOAT? Wait, how can you bet against the GOAT? She's only a 3-1 favorite on the books. Honestly, she's probably safe. Do a little 2-fighter parlay. I don't know what I'm going to do with it just yet because I do have that oh man, is she still... I'm a little nervous that she's content. And I'm not, this is based off of nothing other than I'm 40. I got kids. I get it. It's a little harder to stay focused on something you already have. It's one thing, hey, I'm going to win this belt. It's going to change my life. It's another thing, wake up every day, defend it. It's just very different to defend it. Anyway, I think Amanda Nunes gets this done. I don't think she's going to be the more technical striker, but she will have more power. And I think she's just going to have to lean on her wrestling to get it done. So let's hope she's in shape. If she leans on her wrestling, this should be a non-issue whatsoever. Although Irene has an 81% takedown defense, we have seen her struggle on the ground, especially with somebody as big, strong, and powerful as Amanda Nunes. But I will say, when they do the face-offs, Irene Aldana is the bigger fighter here. But guys, that is the breakdown. Those are the picks. Those are the bets. Don't forget, premium members get full access to the Safety Parlay. The Safety Parlay has been a shining star over the last 23 events. That's when we started it, 23 events ago. UFC Vegas 67 in November was the very first time we started the Safety Parlay. Since then, if the only thing you ever did was the Safety Parlay, you'd be up 22.32 units. That's net profit. This year alone, 9.83. From January to today, 9.83 units of net profit. The Safety Parlay has been an absolute gold mine for premium members, so become one now at WeWantPicks.com. You're going to get tools. You're going to get information. You're going to get insight. You're going to get data, spreadsheets. You're going to get the picks, the bets, a DraftKings optimizer. You're going to get everything you have ever wanted or needed to help you find spots, help you make bets. If you want a blind copy, I don't recommend that. Blind copy. You want to find your own spots? Use our tools. We did the research. We give you the notes. We give you the information. Use that. Find your own picks. Make your own bets. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's only $10 a month. And it's not just me and Jacob. We got Artem. Artem is breaking down PFL. You're going to get PFL picks, PFL bets from Artem. Same with LFA, Cage Wars, and all the other regional shows. Bellator, of course. So make sure after you become a premium member, check out Artem's page as well. And if you're there for his content, use his promo code. It's Artem. And he gets a little payday for that. WeOwnPicks.com, all the things. And if you want $50, I'll send you $50. WeOwnPicks.com/bets. Sign up using our links. Make a deposit. I will send you $50 as a thank you.